Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a parallax test. This is the second time I'm testing this, but I'm going to take it a step further today. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to shoot 3 shots with the dot perfectly centered in this Holosun 510c, okay? I'm going to go downrange. I'm going to mark it. I'm shooting at 50 yards. I'm going to mark my circles, my holes rather. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to fire another 3 shots. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift my face on the rifle so that the dot appears in the top left corner of the window over here, of the glass, okay? So I'm going to shift my face so I'm seeing the dot in the top left corner of the window. Then I'm going to go downrange, mark those holes with a different color, okay? Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to use the magnifier, okay? And then I'm going to shoot 3 shots. Now, obviously, well, it's not obvious if you haven't shot this, but when I use the magnifier, pretty much because of eye relief and the fact that it's a smaller tube, I pretty much have to shoot that centered. Okay, so using the magnifier, you're always going to be more or less centered. It's easy to see if you're off center, right? If you're off center, you start to see some blackening, and you know something is wrong. The issue is when you're not using the magnifier. If you're just using the optic, because it's a bigger window, sometimes it's not so easy to tell if your dot is perfectly centered in the window. So I'm trying to figure out if that's an issue, if it's not an issue. Okay, and that's usually what people refer to as parallax. Okay, so let's fire 3 shots, and wherever this test goes, it goes. Okay, let's go. Now, I'm not bagging the gun. I'm just using a bipod. The table is a little bit slippery over here. So it's not going to be like the best groups I've ever shot, but I think it'll give us a good idea of what's going on here. All right, I'm gonna go down range and mark those 3 holes. If you guys see me fall, it's because everything's all ice over here, so you'll get a good laugh out of that. Okay, got 3 shots, nice group. Now I'm going to take 3 shots and I'm going to place the dot in the top left corner of the optic. Let me just make sure this camera's still rolling. Yep, we're rolling. Okay. So dot reticle top left corner of the glass. All right, let me go. I'm gonna mark that now with the red instead of the black. Let's see what that is. All right, nice tight group. Looked like it shifted about an inch to the right, which is similar to the results I got the last time I did this test. I'm going to take another 3 shots, and then I'm going to bring the target up here so we can get a close look at it. So this time, I'm going to basically shoot through the magnifier, and we're going to see what difference that makes. All right, let me go get the target. Put this down over here. Let me go get a tape measure just so we can talk about some real numbers. So the first 3 shots that I did, mind you, this is at 30 yards. First 3 shots are the ones I have in black. 1, 2, 3. Okay, these 3 shots here make a triangle. So first 3 shots is that triangle right there. And let's see, between the furthest 3 shots at 50 yards, I got the biggest spread is 1 inch, okay? All right, so 1 inch, 50 yards, basically the rifle is shooting 2 MOA. At 100 yards, I would expect this to be a 2-inch group, okay? Basically 2 MOA, the rifle doesn't suck. I don't suck that bad, okay? At 50 yards, I'm hitting a 1-inch group, okay? So the second 3 shots shifted over to the right over here. That's where, because for the first 3, I made sure that my dot was perfectly centered in the window. The second 3, I pushed it, I put the dot all the way to the top left corner. What I actually did is because this has the 65 MOA circle. Basically, the 65 MOA circle basically was fitted to the curve over here, right, in the glass. So, and then the dot was like right there. So again, the second 3 shots, let's see, the greatest distance between those 3 shots is 1.25 inches. Okay, that's the greatest distance. The wind today is about, right now it's 0, but I've seen it go up to 3 to 5. I don't know exactly what we're doing that instant, but we got like a 3 to 5 mile per hour wind at times. So let me make a line here. So that's this triangle right here. Okay, so let's go center to center. Okay, so from the center of this triangle to the center of this triangle, it has shifted 1.25 inches to the right and down. Okay, that's what my dot in the top left corner. Okay, so with that information, you can kind of estimate what it would do if I was, let's say, in the top, that was the top left corner. If I went to the top right corner, I would expect it to shift over here somewhere, okay? All right, so then the next 3 shots that I took was with the magnifier. And of course, with the magnifier, dot's perfectly centered. I really don't have too much room for playing. That's these 3 shots right here, 1, 2, 3, which shifted it to the left and slightly up, okay? Group is 1.25 inches. So my group opened up 1.25 inches with the mag. Again, it might have been the wind a little bit, it might have been me a little bit. I'm shooting on a icy table a little bit, but there's definitely a shift up and to the left, which is something I have seen before. So that's these 3 shots here. I don't want to confuse things by marking these. Let's leave these unmarked. All right, I don't want to. So that's 1, 2, 3. So there's definitely a shift over here when I put the magnifier on. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, what I think I would want to do, and I've done this test before with the magnifier, without the magnifier. It seems like there's always a shift with the magnifier. If you're going to be shooting the gun primarily at distance with the magnifier, I would zero with the magnifier, okay? If you're going to be shooting the gun without the magnifier, then I would zero without the magnifier. That's what I would do. Now, the benefit of zeroing with the magnifier, I think, is that here's the thing: you'll be more accurate at further distances. If you zero with the magnifier, with the magnifier on. At closer distances, it's not going to make a difference if you have a little bit of a shift, right? So at 50 yards, whether you hit here or here, right? We're talking about from here to here. The total shift over here was from my center is 1.25 inches at 50 yards. Okay, so at 100 yards, it's going to be 2.5 inches. So I think at distance, you're going to at 100 yards plus, you're gonna if you got a magnifier, you're gonna be using the magnifier. So it makes sense to zero with the magnifier, and then at closer distances, if you're not using the magnifier, if it shifts 1.25 inches, wherever, it doesn't matter. It's only 1.25 inches shift. Not a big deal. You're still gonna hit a man-sized target. That's how I would probably want to zero this, right? Zero with the. Apparently, when I zeroed this rifle, because I got so many, I don't remember exactly what I did with this one. I probably zeroed without the magnifier, which is why I hit center. Okay, and now with the magnifier, it shifted slightly up and to the left, 1.25 inches over. But the groups are all pretty consistent. I'm getting a 1 inch. A 1 inch group at 50 yards to 1.25 inches at 50 yards. So my shooting isn't terrible, right? Because if this was because of me, then you could expect that the groupings would open up a lot more, right? I wouldn't be shooting 2 MOA if I was a bad shot. If I didn't know, if I wasn't holding center with the dot and not moving it over unless I wanted to do it intentionally. Now, a lot of times people will say you gotta zero the magnifier. There are 2 adjustments here on the magnifier. That's not a zeroing adjustment. That's what they call a centering adjustment. What that means is, like, when you put the magnifier on, right? If you don't center it, when you look through here, right? You might see your dot, but your dot might be like shifted way over to the right or left or up or down. It won't, when you look through it, it won't be in the center of your glass. So what you do is you shift the center. It doesn't change the zero, because even if you're seeing it off to the side, right? Let's say, and I've tested this. What I did is I shifted, I cranked this over so that the reticle with the magnifier shifted all the way, let's say, over to the right. I don't remember which way I did, but I did a video on this. Shifted all the way to the right. Took 3 shots, and it didn't change my zero. Okay, so centering it doesn't change your zero, but using the magnifier or not using magnifier seems to change the zero. Okay, so this is the second time in the last week I've done this test. Although last time I didn't use the magnifier at all. And also I used a different rifle the last time, right? The last time I did this test, I used a different rifle. Today I used this one, and that's where it is. With the dot just centered in the glass, right? No magnifier. I hit here. When I shifted my head, when I shifted the way I looked at it all the way to the top left corner, shifted over to the right about 1.25 inches. When I put on the magnifier and held center, right, in the optic, it shifted up and to the left about 1.25 inches. Okay, so here's a closer look at that. All right, so black is the first one, red is the second group, no circles is the last one with the magnifier. All right, so hope you guys enjoyed that. If you're not a member of the channel, subscribe, hit the bell button so you get the notification of new videos I put up. If your experience is different, by all means, post it down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. If it's a different one, hey, there's, maybe you're doing it, maybe I'm doing it a little bit different than you're doing it. Let me know how you're doing it and what your results are. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you all next time. Hey everyone, I forgot to mention a really important piece of information. I did mention it in the last video, last time I did this, but I didn't say it this time. When I look at my red dot, right, I do see a bit of a starburst. Okay, I think they refer to it as astigmatism. So when I centered it in scope, I saw a slight bit of a starburst. When I had it in the top left corner, it had a little bit more of a starburst. What that means is you have to kind of figure out where you think the center of that starburst is, right? Because it's usually not a perfect starburst. It's usually like a diagonal. So you kind of have to decide where the center of that starburst is. However, when I put the magnifier on, right, the magnifier has a, um, a focal length in the back. It allows me to rotate this to get a better focus. So when I look at the when I look at the dot through the magnifier, I do not see that starburst. So it is possible that that might be the reason for the shifts that we're seeing, right? Because when I'm looking at the dot without the magnifier, it's not a perfect dot, and I have to decide where the center of that is. It's not like it's a perfectly symmetrical starburst where you can always pick the same center. It's kind of like a diagonal type of starburst. And that might be the reason why that might explain the shift, right? So maybe somebody that has perfect eyes, that when they look at the dot without the magnifier, so maybe somebody that sees it without starburst, that they're not going to experience any of this. Okay. But if you do see the starburst, now you know from this test what type of differences you might get from that, right? So I think that might be the reason why some people say that when they go from optic to magnifier, there's no difference, while other people like me say that, hey, when you go from just plain optic to optic plus magnifier, there is a difference. That might explain it, that astigmatism. Some people will see the starburst, other people won't see the starburst. So I just wanted to throw that in there. I think it was an important piece of information. I want you guys to know how I was seeing the dot. You might see it a little bit more differently, okay? But either way, as you guys saw, it was a minor shift. It was 1.25 inches at 50 yards. You're gonna, all the more reason to zero with the magnifier on, because you're gonna see the clear dot at distance, right? If you're shooting 200 yards, you'll see a clear dot. Whereas, inside of 100 yards, shooting at a man-sized target, starburst is not gonna make a difference. It doesn't make a difference if it shifts 1.25 inches or even 3 inches to the left or the right. You're still going to hit a man-sized target. So thanks for watching. I'll talk to you all soon.